Hey you guys, hey, I've been up fishing all day today, and I've caught some beautiful fish in this run right down below us that we're looking at right now. I think you guys can see it. Let me put my rod down and I'll zoom in on it. It's a beautiful place here on the river. And anyway guys, I got another fun story I want to tell you guys. It seems like lately I'm telling you guys an awful lot of stories, but being back here in the West in Utah and Idaho has brought back a lot of fond memories. So anyway, about 30 years ago, I was guiding this guy. His name was Patrick, and I called him Pat. And he was a character, guys. He was a big, tall guy, had kind of a scruffy beard. He really couldn't grow his beard too well, but he tried to grow one anyway. And he was a prankster, and he loved to hunt ducks, and he had never fly fished before. So he decided that he wanted to learn how to fly fish. So I says, that's great, let's get you a rod and reel, we'll get you set up and we'll get you going. So that's what we did. And Pat was actually, he was like take cover when he got a hold of that fly rod. I mean, he had flies flinging left and right and behind and forward and around, and I think he must have hooked me 30 or 40 times. I'll bet he hooked himself close to 100 times, and he hooked my dog, actually all three of my dogs, but he hooked one of my dogs 3 times. And anyway, Pat was one of those perfectionist type guys, and when I first started fishing with him, fly fishing, I would literally get him set up after he'd hooked me so many times, and then I'd just take cover. And I mean, I would literally hide out from him. And so anyway, I'm gonna walk down the river while I'm telling you guys this story. And so anyway, Pat was a perfectionist, and he wasn't willing to give up. And so Pat would want to fish until dark every night. And normally my trips were only 8 hours, but I'm so easygoing that if they wanted to stay longer or if the fishing was good, I didn't have any problem with staying. So anyway, Pat would get back and it'd be pitch dark, and he'd be out in the parking lot practicing fly fishing and fly casting, because no matter what, he was going to learn how to fly fish. So anyway, he decided he couldn't do it all. He was from Vegas, from Las Vegas, Nevada. So he decided he couldn't do it all in just a short trip up for 2 or 3 days. So he booked me for a whole month. And I'll be darned, Pat practiced and practiced and practiced, and he got so good at fly fishing, you guys, that I think eventually he was probably a better fly fisherman than I am. Now, I'm not saying I'm a great fly fisherman, but he turned into one heck of a wonderful fly fisherman. So this hole that we're looking at down here, just to show you what a character Pat was, we had caught, I'll bet we'd caught close to, I don't know, 60 or 70 fish out of this hole. And it was pitch dark, you guys. I mean, it was dark. And Pat was a big believer that the brown trout come out late at night, which they do. He was right. And so anyway, the one night it got totally dark, and I mean, I couldn't see anything. And Pat hooked up this huge fish. I'm sure it was a brown trout. And he lost it. He popped his line. And so anyway, I couldn't see to tie a hook back on. And so Pat all of a sudden drops his backpack and he ruffles around in there, and he comes out with 2 Bic gliders, and he turns those Bic gliders on, and he says, well, can you see now to tie me another fly on? So I did. I tied another fly on. We fished for a few more hours, and Pat caught a few small fish, but not the big brown that he was after. So anyway, Pat was a wonderful person, and he had learned how to fly fish. He had conquered it, you guys, and I was really proud of him. So anyway, 2 months later, I get this letter, and it was one of those letters you have to sign for. It was like official, and on the letter it said attorney at law, and I'm like going, holy cow, what is this all about? So I open up the letter, and it says attorney at law, lawsuit against Mr. Stone. So anyway, I'm going, what the heck? So I start reading, and it says, Mr. Stone is being sued for not providing the appropriate flies to Mr. Pat to catch a big brown trout, and also being sued for not keeping Pat on the river till all hours of the night. And so you can imagine my face. I was just rolling by the time I got the end of that letter. And I ended up guiding Pat for about 30 years, you guys. And we had some of the most wonderful times in the world together. He was just a wonderful person. But I wanted to share that fun story with you guys about a really special person and somebody that never gave up. You know, we'd be done fishing for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day, and Pat would grab that fly rod and he'd tie a piece of yarn onto it. And then by heck, he'd sit in that parking lot and practice all night long till almost morning time, because he was going to master that. And I learned a valuable lesson from Pat, that if you really go after something and you really love something, sometimes you have to put forth extra effort to make that happen. And Pat was the type guy that did that. And so I learned a really neat lesson from Pat to never give up and to keep on trying and trying and trying. And I'll tell you, after he hooked me about the 30th or 40th time, I was about ready to tell him to put that fly rod away and get his bait rod back out, because that's what he was doing when he first met me. He was a bait fisherman and a spin fisherman. And he was a wonderful spin fisherman and bait fisherman, but he became a fantastic fly fisherman. So anyway, that's my story for you guys. I'm up here on the river. I've caught some beautiful, beautiful fish here today. And I was in this place and I was just thinking of Pat, and what a special person he was, and what a great lifetime friend he was to me. And anyway, you guys have an awesome day. Sending you a great big huge smile from here on the river up in southeastern Idaho. You guys have an awesome day. Okay, see you guys. Bye.